If I suspected Donald Trump was incompetent or somebody else was running things or we were being lied to in any way, shape, or form, I would be on the air today telling you that. And every journalist worth their salt, no, every American has that responsibility. No matter what the cost, no matter that it's going to mean that Kamala Harris is in. Nope, sorry. I believe in the American people more than I believe in me, and certainly more than I do some group of people whose whole existence is to get a politician elected. If the truth doesn't matter on this, then neither does your vote. And if that is true, we do not have a republic at all. We have something else. I don't know what it is, but something we were never, ever meant to be. That is why all of this matters. I mean, here's Whoopi yesterday on The View.
So should anonymous sources who talked to Tapper have spoken up about their concerns while he was in office, while he was still in office? And my other question is, why is this important to know now?
Yeah. Well, that's
Listen to this.
It just seems to me, you know, we got a lot of stuff to be concerned about at the moment.
Okay, stop. You're in the hospital. You just found out that several patients were left to die by a certain doctor, but you don't know which doctor. You're now in the hospital with the same thing that they have. And you say, could I get the name of that doctor? And they say, no, that's not important. That it's about them. They're already dead. Don't worry about it. You would get out of that hospital. Okay? That's the situation. You don't know who did what. You certainly cannot be treated or healed when you have no idea who is hiding the death of those patients and protecting, an incompetent doctor. There's a couple of things that all tie into what we were just talking about with Whoopi Goldberg saying, what difference does it make? Now, why do we need to know who is running the White House? Why? I mean, it's so insane. It is honestly like saying, all right, so the bank was robbed. They got their money back through insurance. Everybody's made whole. Why does this matter? Why are we still going after these bank robbers? Are you crazy? I mean, the logic just does not work anymore for a lot of people because ends justify the means. You cannot take the position that Whoopi Goldberg has held for so long and then say, wow, you know, we should go after those people. We should look into that because that's a danger to the republic. And once you say that, then you're like, wait a minute, I've been saying Donald Trump's a danger to the republic. I denied all of this. What do I really believe now? What side am I really on? I don't have to like Donald Trump, but I do have to recognize my errors. And most people just can't do that. And it is really sad. But that is what makes people leaders and then also makes people either leaders for the dark side or they just destroy themselves because the truth does matter. And if you don't reconcile that in you, there's no way you can connect into the flow of life for those of you who are listening in California.
A lot of people don't know that I'm a painter and I gave up painting because of demoralizing pain in my hands. I was losing hope. If pain keeps you from really living, I urge you to do what I did. Try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free supplement developed by doctors, is safe to take every day, and it has helped me and so many others. You can try their 3-week quick start right now, $19.95 at relieffactor.com.
There's a couple of things on this. Here's why it matters. Is anyone above the law? We know that's against the law, and it matters when it's happening and after it's happening, okay? You have a couple of people. You have the New York mayor was arrested for protest and charged with trespassing by the U.S. attorney for the District of New Jersey. And she also arrested MacGyver. Who could be against MacGyver? Not that MacGyver. Congresswoman MacGyver. Now, it's on tape. They are seen pushing through guards, ICE guards. This is not They were part of a protest, and they used that protest to storm the gates to get past the guards. That's not doing your constitutional duty. That's not. So why are we persecuting? Because if you want to assemble peacefully and protest, I'm all for you. I'll stand. I despise what you're protesting for, but I'll stand with you. Okay? Because you have that right to do it. But you don't have the right to whip up a mob and storm the gates. You don't. That's where your constitutional rights stop, right at that door. Does it matter? Yes. If we would have put people behind bars who were looting Macy's and burning cities down, and we would have concentrated on the people who actually believed that there was a problem with the police and wanted a real solution, if we would have listened to those, quote, peaceful protesters and put the other protesters behind bars, we wouldn't be sitting in this situation. Once you ignore something, you teach bad people, or even people who are just frustrated with the system, oh, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. I mean, as soon as we stopped enforcing the law because of BLM, what happened to crime? Do you think crime going up all over the country is for no reason whatsoever? No, we stopped enforcing the law. We stopped arresting people for small crimes. You know, now you could steal up to $1,000. Well, what do you think happened? Everybody went, well, I can steal $1,000. I'm going to know exactly what I'm going to steal, and I'm going to take those things, and I can walk out. No harm, no foul. That's why you lost your CVS in many stores all across, or in many states all across the country. Because once you teach that, well, then everybody's just going to capitalize on it. You have to teach the opposite. Your actions matter to our society. Now, yesterday, Jay Bhattacharya hosted his first staff town hall meeting. Sorry, it was on Monday at the National Institute of Health. He's the NIH director. This is Fauci's old stomping ground. So he's holding an open town hall, and he's taking questions, and he's answering questions. And there were 1,200 submitted questions. He took the questions, answered as many as he could. It was on in public, and you could go there, and you could also watch it online. And he said, if it's true that we sponsored research that caused the pandemic, then that's a different story. And if you look at the polls of the American people, that's what most people believe. It is, I'm quoting, it is possible the pandemic was caused by research conducted by human beings. It is also possible that the NIH partially sponsored some of that research. Now, as soon as he said that, dozens of NIH officials got up and walked out of the room. And his response was, it's nice to have free speech. You're welcome, you guys. Free speech. If it is true that we sponsored research that caused the pandemic, and if you look at the polls of the American people, that's what most people believe. I've looked at the scientific evidence, and I believe it's true. What we now have to do is make sure that we do not engage in research that's posing any risk to human populations. They got up, even though the CIA, everybody is now coming to the conclusion this was cooked up in the lab, okay? EcoHealth looks like it was involved. EcoHealth was a recipient of cash from the NIH. We know that Fauci covered things up and was in bed with EcoHealth. We know all of that stuff, right? We know it. Do we have absolute proof? No, but we have I believe, beyond reasonable doubt. Okay, but still, let's pursue that. Let's find out. I predict you're going to start seeing arrests on COVID. You're going to start seeing arrests of people that covered up. And that is essential. Why? Because you just hate science? Why? Because you're just for Donald Trump and anybody who is against Donald Trump should go to jail? No. Listen to what he said. If it's true, we sponsored research that caused the pandemic, and I've looked at the scientific evidence, and I believe it is. Notice he said, I believe. He didn't say it is. He said, I believe it is. If it's true, what we have to do is make sure that we do not engage in research that's posing any risk to human populations. That's why it matters. That's why this matters. Because if you don't admit it, if you don't track down how did this happen, you cannot prevent it from happening again. You can't save the republic by ignoring that the president wasn't in control of his faculties or the government. You can't ignore that and save the republic. You can't ignore the truth that the NIH most likely, but you don't move until you know, that they were involved in a cover-up because they were funding things they weren't supposed to be funding. But Fauci was so arrogant that he thought it was okay for him to do. You can't prevent the next pandemic if you don't fix what was causing this pandemic. That's why it matters, Whoopi. They're going after Andrew Cuomo now over the nursing home deaths. Okay, DOJ is opening up an investigation on that. Whether he goes to jail or not, Stu, I know he has an opinion on this. Whether he goes to jail or not, whether he's guilty of it or not, has to be proven in a court of law. I've seen the evidence. We've talked about it before. To me, it looks beyond a reasonable doubt to me, but this isn't a court of law. It needs to be investigated. It needs to be tried in open and fair court. And if he's guilty, he needs to go to jail. Why? Why would you do that? Because you hate the Cuomos? No, because I love people more. And I don't want people to be able to be killed in a nursing home because they're expendable. They're old. It doesn't matter anyway. I don't want that happening. And you can't solve that unless you put the people behind bars that encouraged that. Because they'll just do it again. And if they don't, somebody else will do it. This is why yesterday Trump just unloaded on the New Jersey Democrat charged with, storming the gates at ICE. Give me a break. Did you see her? She was out of control, he said. Out of control. She assaulted a federal agent outside a New Jersey ICE facility. The days of that crap are over in this country. We are going to have law and order. That's all I want. I don't want vengeance. I don't want anything done in anger. I want the system to work. I want law for all people to be equal. And I want order. We do it the right way. That's what he was asking for. Why does it matter? Because you can't have it if you don't enforce it now. This, by the way, is why his approval ratings are surging. Did you see he's up again in the polls? All of these things are connected. All of our problems, I shouldn't say all of our problems, most of our problems are caused in our country politically because we no longer care about the Constitution. We don't even know what it is. And I'm not talking about the politicians. They give lip service to that. They don't know it. They don't know it. They don't care. It never comes up in conversations. I know. I've talked to senators. I've talked to representatives on both sides of the aisle. They never talk about the Constitution when they're putting anything together. They don't care. Okay? They think they know better. Rules are different now, but they're not. So there's two reasons why we're in the situation we're in. One, nobody knows the Constitution. Nobody's following it. Two, nobody's listening to the sage advice of three presidents. One, George Washington. What was his farewell address about? Don't get involved in these parties. These parties will kill you. They will figure it out. Don't overspend. Don't get involved in everybody else's affairs overseas. Be a friend to everybody. Now, if they attack you, we have to be strong. But we're not involved in anybody else's business. Stay out of that business. Don't run up debt. Well, all you have to do is listen to that guy, that one. Then we don't listen to Eisenhower, who said, okay, we have to do things now to have a strong defense. So we're going to have a standing army now. And because defense is now about nuclear weapons, We're going to have science, which means we're going to have education. And so the money to education, to universities, to science, and to the military has to be guarded by the American people, because the universities will train everybody to give what the government wants. They won't be pursuing science anymore for science. They're going to give it what the government wants. So you're going to get the answers the government wants. Science will do the same thing. And the military will also start to promote foreign wars and wars of all kind because they want to sell weapons. Warning. Do we listen to him? No. Educational, scientific, and defense. All of them sold out. And we don't really have any control. And the last one is Ronald Reagan, who said within this generation, if we don't teach now, this is 1988, if we don't teach them now, the next generation will not be able to defend this country because they won't know our history. History is being lost. It must be restored in schools and in our homes. If we would have just listened to those three and known the Constitution, we would not be in any of these situations we're in now. So what do you say? Let's repair those three, listen to those three guys, repair that, and learn the Constitution. That's what you can do as a citizen.